Is not an alien force already among us?
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
From some other species, from another planet, outside in the universe.
Welcome to S4.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to S4, the official radio broadcast of Forest Moon Paranormal, with host Eric Cooper and our panel of enlightened minds. Coming to you live from FMP headquarters located in the heart of Skagit Valley, Washington, at the base of the majestic North Cascade Mountains. We will take you through a journey of exploration as we examine every aspect of the metaphysical. From spirits, UFOs, Bigfoot, and conspiracies, to grounding, protection, astral travel, and everything in between, leaving you with a better understanding and comprehension of the world around you, and the entities that inhabit it.
Join us every Saturday night at Spreaker.com and locally on KSVU 90.1. Don't forget to check out our new webpage at www.s-4radio.com.
Now sit back, open your mind, get ready, because this is S4.
Good evening or morning, depending on where you are, and welcome to S4, the voice of Forest Moon Paranormal, coming to you live from FMP headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains in Concrete, Washington. FMP is a highly active emergency response team for all aspects of the paranormal, from aggressive hauntings to alien interaction, Bigfoot and other cryptids, and everything in between that's terrifying. S4 is the voice where we discuss these things in detail. Now, not only can you find S4 right here on Spreaker, but for our local listeners, also on KSVU 90.1 FM from 10 to 12 p.m. Saturdays with pre-recorded shows. So, tonight, it's the 18th of May already. Can you believe it? It's more than halfway through the month. And tonight, it's our May Roundtable. So, usually it's on the last Saturday of the month, but because next week is Memorial Day, we're having a Memorial Day show with mostly veterans on the panel. So tonight, it's Roundtable. This is a relaxing show where we kick back with our feet on the table, S4 mug in hand, and drink our coffee, smoke our cigarettes, and discuss what's on everyone's mind. So tonight, we have Cole Wegleitner, our FMP Lore and Culture Research Specialist and owner of Statement of Sound DJ Services, Chris and Brent Dodge from the FMP Extended Care Team and the Astral Team, Eric Markham, our FMP Scientist, Rich Giordiano from UFON Radio, and R. Keith Andrews, our Alien Race Specialist. So how are we all doing tonight, guys and gals?
Perfect.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Haven't died today yet, if that's any help.
That's a perfect help. Then we have to come look for you with EMF meters and mediums and stuff.
Well, that'd be kind of handy. We'd have somebody on the inside on the other side.
Right? Exactly. So, we're halfway through May. And it's been an
So
interesting.
it may have 36 days in it now, eh?
It's been an interesting year, I got to say. And so, last week was a sad week for the UFO community because Stanton Friedman died. And
Yeah, but
go ahead.
at least he did so doing what he loved.
Say again?
At least he did so doing what he loved.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, the man was in the UFO community as a nuclear physicist for what, 50 years?
Yeah.
Oh, every bit of it, yeah.
And I mean,
Fantastic.
he was honestly the grandfather of ufology, hands down.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting him a few years back.
He always went to the big conferences that I never get to go to. So,
Well, it was actually the Experience to Speak conference that I went to that I met him at.
right. Yeah, he always all those kind of all the big wigs go to the big conferences where you're paying $200 to $300 to go to them, and a lot of us can't afford that, which is why we keep the Paracon low cost, so anyone can go to it. And again, running a Paracon, it's hard to get heavy hitters like that because they want a lot more money than what we can afford. But we still put on a good Paracon.
We got some pretty heavy hitters in my mind.
Oh, we do.
We've got R. Keith Andrews. We got Dave Scott. To me, those are big names.
Yeah.
Agreed. And when you can find speakers that will come on their own dime, and all they want is for us to put up lodging, that's a good speaker.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It threw me for a loop the first time you guys pulled that on me. I know when I came down the first time and you told me you were paying the lodging, I'm like, you want to run that by me again?
Yeah, and you shocked me when you told me that all the events you've been to, you were expected to pay for your own lodging, pay for your own food, pay for everything on your own dime. Because if you want to put on a good event, you take care of your speakers. And obviously we can't afford airfare, but
that's a price
we can at least put you up. I would expect any good Paracon to at least put up their speakers. That's the least you can do.
No, trust me, you can do less.
So
True.
all right, so who wants to go first? Let's see, Edie, Meanie, Monty, and Mo.
Cole.
Chris.
Cole.
So, Markham, what's your first question tonight?
Oh, let Chris go.
No. You're not picking on the girl. Cole said he had a whole bunch. Go ahead, Cole.
Votes for Chris.
No.
Okay, this is one I've asked before, but with a different crowd. Okay, we all talk about wanting to hear about, wanting UFO disclosure, 100% disclosure, blah, blah, blah. When you think about it, though, if the government came out tomorrow morning and said, yes, UFOs are real, yes, aliens exist, all this stuff is true, what real impact would it have on you in your daily life? Because I don't think the military-industrial complex would let go of any of the technology that they're suppressing now. I mean, I think I'd still have to get up, shave, take a shower, and go to work just like I always did. I just don't think it would mean, granted, I'm preaching to the choir here because most of us are believers, but by and large, do you really think it would matter that much?
In all fairness, I don't get the feeling most people would believe it. First of all, it's the government coming out and saying it. That's
Right.
a problem right from the get-go. And second of all, like you said, what difference would it really make other than you would have a few more people with different colored skin?
Huh, bad enough already.
Right.
And knowing
Well,
the government,
it'd be even worse if everybody looked the same.
knowing the government, they'd give the exclusive to Fox News. Just saying.
Oh.
If
Yeah,
it's
'cause-
full disclosure, there is no exclusive.
Well, and that's the thing. Everybody else would be called fake news. So it'd have to come from Fox.
It all depends on how it's said, too, how it comes out.
Right. And I
Well,
want I want to hear your thoughts, Rich, because you've been studying this for quite a few years as well.
Hmm. Oh, well, we just talked about it. Actually, it's been a hot topic for a while, what would happen if disclosure, like full disclosure to me, because they've already announced UFOs are real. Whether they're working with them hand in hand, that's another thing. But that's what I want to hear as full disclosure. And I think it would have to be done in a way that I think the whole world would have to stop just for the announcement because it would be that big. But that would also, it could backfire. It's just, I don't know if they can do it in stages, but I think it would have to be done the way they started, like now. And if they can just not stop and wait another 18 months, but if they kept putting out videos once a month, did it slowly over TV, maybe with the new unidentified show, things like this, they could slowly integrate it into our minds, which is what I think might be happening, although I don't trust anything. But if that's what they are doing with these videos that came out in our New York Times article, which hasn't been rebuffed or even had a comment later on it. So I don't know what's going on, but if disclosure did happen, it would have to be done slowly. And I think all at one time. This way the whole world's in on it.
The biggest question I've always had is what is considered full disclosure?
Aliens working with humans, interaction, communication.
Yeah, agree.
Another species.
Oh, I realize what an alien is. That's the easy part.
I know that. I'm saying let us know when you're doing it, though.
Well, the biggest problem I can see, the only way you're going to get that, well, the easiest way is bring a ship down over top of a number of cities and not blow the cities up, but drop the people off.
No, I think that'd be bad, because that would look like an attack, and people would freak out, start shooting.
People are going to freak out if there's one person that looks like an octopus walking down the street.
Right. Yeah, I know. That's why it hasn't happened.
Well, I've always said that 1952, Washington, D.C., on July 12th and July 29th, disclosure happened.
Yeah.
I mean, the UFO flyover in D.C., I mean, it was there. It was televised. You can still find pictures of it around. It's,
That's
so to me, to me, I think disclosure happened.
You know what I got to say, though? If the government actually came out and say it, I honestly think the biggest naysayers would be us.
Yeah, right.
All we'd be thinking is, okay, no, what are they really up to?
Yeah, it was CGI.
Yeah, what are they covering up that they don't want us to see?
It was a false
Well, I've also heard that one of the big reasons that the government just doesn't come out and say, yeah, okay, you caught us with our britches down, this, Roswell happened, is they're afraid that there would just be this avalanche of lawsuits, abductees, because once you say, or once you admit that these things are real, you've opened the door to so much of the phenomena that's been poo-pooed, and so many of the people that have been, basically driven into insane asylums by the government because of the denial. Now all of a sudden these people, even if they weren't legitimate, they'd have a hearing, and it would be very heavily weighted to them because, okay, we've caught the government in a lie once. Let's say we're not. This isn't more. So, I think it would create a legal maelstrom.
I want to go back to your comment too, Rich. With what have they done on TV to integrate? And I think that happened in the 70s with Close Encounters of a Third Kind.
Yeah, that, in my opinion, that is the quintessential best movie that shows the interaction and the configuration of the grays.
Right.
It makes more sense than a lot of the others. I mean, that actually had, and you had two of the biggest names back then. J. Allen Hynek did I think he actually, not only did he appear as a cameo, but he actually had something to do with the script. and Jacques Vallée, two of the biggest names in ufology back then, had something to do with that movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've always held it, and that new one, Arrival, where they have to start from scratch and try and figure out the language.
Yeah, and I just love the way they did the language on that. I just love it.
Yeah, or what the
job.
heptapod said, or the noise the heptapods made, had absolutely nothing to do with the smoke ring, the actual communication. So, and just having to start from no common ground whatsoever, and try and figure out what each species is trying to say. I think that's one of the most intelligent of the first Contact movies that's come out since, Contact with Jodie Foster.
And
it wasn't. The language wasn't.
Curiosity. Do you remember who the director was for that one?
Which one?
For Arrival.
Actually, no. I can look it up, but unless you're going to tell me, I can't.
I certainly ain't going to tell you. I don't even know if it's. I'm thinking whether it was Spielberg or somebody.
Oh,
like that.
It's Dennis Villeneuve. I think it's the guy that's doing the Dune.
Villeneuve.
Yeah, Villeneuve. That's who did it. Yeah, I think he's actually the one that they've turned Frank Herbert's Dune over to. So he ought to be able to do a good job if Arrival is any.
Villeneuve is out of Europe, is he not?
Yeah, I think he's French.
He's French Canadian.
Oh, okay.
See, I know there's a director that came out of Europe that knows what's going on, and I can tell you the language that they showed for the octopods is accurate.
In what way?
What do you mean? In what way? It's just plain accurate.
The graphic representation and the different, how it looked like a smoke ring, but it was in the details of the smoke ring was where the written language was.
Yes.
That was pretty cool.
I thought you were comparing it to some other writing.
Yeah, it was theirs.
Right, and well, it's just kind of made up, but it's kind of cool how they came up with it.
Well, here's the funny part. There's a lot of things that are claimed to be made up that actually have a root in reality.
Sure. All the way back to Star Trek, to opening doors and flip phones and all that stuff.
Right. Now I want to go back to I want to go to part 2 of your question. How would that affect us today? I think if they came out and announced disclosure, announced the aliens are here, announced that we are interacting with them, the government's involved with them, that is going to bring out the flood. That's going to open the doors for the experiencers that have been saying they've been here to be able to come out in the open and say, see, I told you so. And then some of them will try to get help. And that's where FMP is going to be slammed.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that's where part 2 of that question comes in. Yeah, it doesn't affect whether I'm going to shave my beard off or not. That doesn't affect, if I'm going to go to Walmart and I'm still going to go get my grocery shopping done, but I'm going to be a lot busier on my cell phone at the same time, dealing with cases.
Yeah, the impact would be just absolutely almost incalculable. Because it would turn society completely on its ear at least at the outset.
Well, I think it would be a lot of people raising hell. It's like, okay, it's time to release some of this 0-point energy, some of this back engineered alien technology, and clean the planet up before the ecosystem collapses. And I would hope, at least, that it would have that effect.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to think so, but I wouldn't hold my breath on it.
Well, Keith, I got a question for you about that. Like, is our government even in charge of disclosure? Are they allowed to do it?
They're allowed. The human race does have freedom of choice. They are not being the human government is not being told you cannot say we're here. That is strictly up to people. The off-worlders do have their own concerns about the ramifications of it happening, and they're not about to show up on the front lawn because of the amount of fear on the planet.
Because no one wants to get shot at.
Well, pretty much. I can't think even humans that like getting shot at.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
I can't help but to think about all the religious groups if this were to happen. What a mess.
Well, all they got to do is read the Bible, and they can tell they can already see in the Bible that it tells you that the aliens exist.
They can, but there's a lot of groups. There's a lot of groups that bypass that and say, no, there's nothing out there. There's only God. There's a lot that do that.
Oh, there absolutely are. But
Yep.
I mean, you could go all sorts of places with that. But the reality in the Bible, and I can't tell you the chapter or verse, but I can tell you, it tells you in the Bible that God had many children on many planets.
Yep.
Plural.
Yep.
And of course, from my own personal experience with dealing with the different races, I can tell you they all have their own religious beliefs. The reality of it is that there's not much difference, aside from physical configuration, there's not much difference between off-worlders and humans.
Which brings me to my question. I was watching a part of a movie tonight, and I can't remember the name of it. Oh, The Arrival. Or Arrival.
Right.
And if there was disclosure and everything came out, Keith, is there really a universal language?
It is. What it is universal trade. Okay, which boils down to it's a mishmash of different languages. Right. They do stick to a mishmash of verbal languages simply because of the fact that there's a lot of races that are not telepathic. Many are not photomanipulative. And of course, when you start looking at amoebics, you can't do sign language with them.
Right.
They can do your sign language, but you're not going to copy theirs.
No.
But yes, there is. This is one of the reasons why the hybridization program was built. Was to try for a more direct interaction between different races. But yeah, there very definitely is a universal language. Or at least when you deal with the consortium, there is a common language that they use.
Speaking of consortium, how did your first YouTube video about the consortium go?
Actually, in all fairness, I'm still trying to figure out how to get to the stats on it, but I know I had a number of people in it. I just did the second part of it just 2 days ago, I think.
Yeah.
But I figure it is going to pick up pace rather well.
I didn't get to go watch it, but I'll go watch. I can always go watch the archive. So, are you going to do? And we'll get more announcements about this at the end of the show. But are you going to be able to do more of these YouTube lives?
Oh yeah, what I'm aiming at. It looks like I'm probably going to be doing it on Fridays. It literally boils down to if my health holds.
Right.
Because I'm still having trouble with energy levels.
Okay. And are you going to do an alien race series, or is it going to be focused mostly on the consortium?
Going to be tied right into the consortium one, because it's all part of the same thing. But
awesome.
yeah.
Awesome.
And like I mentioned in the last one, the book that I'm working on, I do have a poor sketch, but I do have a sketch of that neat little mark that that many people that get an implant have with the 3 dots and the 1 slash.
Yep.
Okay, I've actually got a picture of that I've sketched out. Right.
Awesome.
that I'm going to put in that book, amongst other things.
And I gotta say real quick, evening Joe and Trip, glad to see you in the chat room. Always awesome to see our regulars in the chat.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, so Chris, you asked your first one, and I gotta say, so you got Arrival and you have The Arrival. So if you haven't watched The Arrival, it has nothing to do with the new Arrival movie that came out, but it has Charlie Sheen in it, and it's from back in the '90s. And I know we've talked about that one on the show once or twice. But that one, and I know you remember the race that's depicted on that movie. It's got the knees that reverse backwards, and then they run real fast. I know you've talked about that particular race before, Keith.
Yeah. Yeah, and you think they run fast. You see the height they can jump.
Yeah, and that's another movie y'all need to go watch, because that's another interesting depiction. They also go to Mexico. They show the satellite arrays and whatnot. And, it's interesting, on all the good movies, they always portray satellite communication. From Battleship to The Arrival to, I think they show them in Arrival. Say again?
Uh-oh.
We have
somebody's voice is breaking down.
Oh, we having tech issues here.
We still got 6 to 6 in the call. It's just I don't know who that is.
Okay. All right. Well, moving along. Rich, what's your first question tonight?
Let's see. First, well, there was kind of just like what was just asked, but I can use a different question. I think we talked about this the last time I was on the show a few months back. There's been some sequence of events over the last year and a half or so since the videos from TTSA came out and all that stuff. And then we had the Sunspot Observatory go out, shut down. Oumuamua came around, and Elizondo took over. I mean, all this other stuff. Does anybody think that Oumuamua was an actual alien craft coming here before the storm or getting set up for the big storm, which is an alien invasion? I feel like something's going to happen. I don't know when. I never said that in 15 years, but something's different the last year and a half. So I just want to know if anybody thought about Oumuamua, that big interstellar craft.
The one thing I do want to clear up is we're not talking about getting set up for an invasion.
No, my question is that, though. So I'm just
were
asking.
They getting set up for something? The answer is yeah. They're here to watch the event. But there is no indication that any race is getting ready to invade the planet.
No,
well, I'm going by what is the consensus out there. So you may have other knowledge that I don't know about, but I'm just saying in general, if something's going to happen, whether it be an alien invasion or somebody watching, since what is supposed to happen.
Well, that's the funny part. It's not supposed to. It's what's going on, and that's why they're here. Is to watch right now from a xenosocioeconomic standpoint. What's going on with mankind right now is extremely exciting for the offworlders, and that's what they're lining up to see: is how mankind works through the next little bit. Because mankind, their civilization is at that breaking point. It's either going to work or it's going to fold. But it's up to man whether it does.
Watch the news. I don't.
Right.
But I really don't want to watch the news. I mean, you want to, and I'm not even going to bring up politics. Just watch the politics that's going on and the control, the violations of the Constitution that's really pissing people off. I completely agree. This country alone is either going to go to a revolution and civil war, or it's going to fix itself. And I don't think it's going to do the latter. So I don't think an exciting period of time is the right word. Maybe from an off-world standpoint, but from a human standpoint, it's not.
Well, that's just it. I mean, the reality is mankind, Earth, in order for Earth to move forward on the galactic front, it has to develop a working one world government. Now, that does not mean a dictator. Okay, but it does mean that people have to start dealing with each other as they're supposed to. It's supposed to being, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And the laws have to be brought around so that they are equal effective on all levels of people. But the reality is that the off-worlders are not going to come in and go, oh, you're doing it wrong. This is what mankind has to figure out for themselves.
So what is a Muamua?
Well,
just a rock that came in? I'm just asking anybody, if anybody has any thoughts on that. Is it a spacecraft with intelligence inside of it?
I think it is.
Yeah. From everything I've gathered around it, my problem is I don't watch the news, and as I've told lots of people, I am no researcher, especially not on the computer. But the reality, from everything I gather, that rock, number one, is not a rock. It happens to be a ship that's buried in rock.
Here's the thing. What I find really exciting and fascinating is the fact that it was a Harvard scientist that came out and said it was, an alien craft. Because that's the first in history. Minus the fact that, Dr. David Jacobs, an alien abduction investigator and researcher, was also a professor of history. And, I don't even think he's a professor anymore. I think he kind of got shunned based on his own research. But, you don't find big name or big university professors come out that are scientists and say, yep, it's a spacecraft. You just don't see that. That's the first.
Yeah, you really don't. The neat part about it, and this is the thing that people keep forgetting. Now, don't get me wrong. Humans use satellite. They use line-of-sight communication. And this is one of the reasons why in virtually every decent movie they show satellite being a big part of it. What people don't realize is the off-worlders do not require line-of-sight communication. They also do not require the satellites that mankind is using. Let's face it, they got here from a heck of a sight further than what the satellite is from Earth. I'm thinking their communication lines are a little more developed than mankind's.
And with that, I agree. Now we got Trip in the chat room. He thinks it's a piece of planet that broke away from a giant collision. I would disagree with that based on the fact that it's actually had sails that were being pushed by solar wind.
Well, that kind of eliminates a part of the planet unless it's a planet I've never heard of developing.
Right.
Usually they don't come with sails.
No. No, and I would agree with that. But, all those pieces to the puzzle, like you said, Rich, are completely, yeah. Is it all boiling down to something big coming? I would agree with Keith in that, yeah, is there going to be, and I want to rule that out really quick, it's not going to be an alien invasion. There's not going to be an off-world invasion. They don't want to destroy the planet. They don't want to destroy the humans, per se. If they wanted to do anything, for one, you wouldn't even know what happened.
Right.
We've said that before.
Godzilla versus Bambi, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
One EMP blast is all it would take. And we'd be back in the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what David Adair said when we had him on our program a while ago, is one of the big things is our electrical grid is not protected. If we had another Carrington event in modern times, the first time all we basically had were telegraph lines. Now today, with all the cell phone towers, just the way our technology is based so much on this wired technology, a Carrington level event like that would cripple, it would cripple communications. The chances are that the electrical transformers, those oil-filled electrical transformers that are on poles, they're going to blow up and send, burning oil all over the place. And it's not like you're going to be able to call the fire department because, he painted a very apocalyptic picture. And, it might have been worst case scenario, but it could very well be, anywhere along that gradient he was talking about. It could just be, cities would not fare well at all.
And that's why you live in the mountains. That's most definitely why you get the heck out of the cities. Joe's in the chat room. So Joe's ready. If the aliens invade, he's got his pointy sticks and his Slim Whitman CBD ready to go. And guaranteed,
Mars attacks.
guaranteed he's got a beer in his hand. So you're going to hear Joe on the show next week when we have our Memorial Day show, because we're having all veterans on the show next week.
That's fantastic.
To discuss Memorial Day. So can't wait. I've been trying to get Joe on the show for a while. So yeah, is there going to be an alien invasion? No, there's not. The best thing you do is, watch the news, watch the skies, and know that they're not going to invade. They have no desire to invade.
They've got a direct imperative not to, quite frankly.
Right. Instead of worrying about off-worlds invading, I'm going to tell you right now, your biggest threat right now is terrorists. That's what you need to watch out for. Because, in the course I'm taking right now with infrastructure security, they actually have devices that are handheld that can disrupt your telecommunications and your internet. Basically, a handheld EMP blast. So you want to worry about something more realistic, worry about terrorists and the attacks on our weak infrastructure. Not off-worlders, because they're here to watch that too.
Oh, yeah, they absolutely are. I mean, if you think about it, especially when we look at the whole concept of invasion, why would you wait until mankind developed any sort of defense if you were going to take them out?
Right. Completely agree. So, Keith, what is your first question tonight?
If anybody can actually give me a functional difference aside from the level of technology and the physical configuration, I'm curious why so many people figure that aliens are so different from humans.
I mean, what are the odds they would be similar to humans?
Well, I'm not talking, that's why I said aside from physical configuration. But when you take a look at society, any society, it develops by people coming together one way or another and finding a way to communicate with each other.
You're talking more the socio-economic and the social standpoint, aren't you? Not the physical.
I am so.
Yeah,
because physical is absolutely different on a lot of
things. They can't be the same as us living on Mercury, Jupiter, or anywhere else. Obviously.
But I would say it's because we expect them to be more well evolved socially, and like we're toddlers and they're adults.
Well, essentially correct. But the reality of it is the hard part. Yes, technologically they are absolutely advanced. Socially, they are advanced from the standpoint of on every member planet of the Galactic Consortium. They do have a global planet, a global government.
Mm-hmm.
But they still have individual beliefs. They still have individual drives. They still have staggering amounts of insubordination.
And they have their own religions.
Absolutely. Intriguingly enough, those are about as varied as they are on Earth.
I think also people would be afraid and leery of their intentions, since most people don't really know about them that well. Does that make sense, kind of?
Well, and that's the importance of Keith's book. And ideally,
Yeah.
Keith's book that he's writing on the alien races, on their social standpoints, to some degree, on the races he knows about, and ideally, it's going to be done by Paracon.
That's what I mean. I'm pushing hard for it. It's just I've run into the one glitch I've run into is I just cannot type at the speed I used to.
Well, yeah, agreed. If you send me a digital recording copy of it, I can type for you.
Yeah, that's where it gets to be really confusing because it comes out completely sideways.
Oh.
Yeah, but yeah, I've got the basics down. I think I've got 47 of the races listed.
Okay.
You know, but the thing is, from a social standpoint, you know, and this is where the karmic laws come very much into play because they apply to the off-worlders as well. But when you look at the social groups, they are not that different. Yes, they're more advanced in certain ways. But where they also fall behind in certain ways, mankind has a creative side to them that is just staggering comparatively.
So I got a question for you. Humans, a lot of humans, live by astrology. As you know, of being an astrologer.
Yeah.
Are there aliens that live by the same astrology as we do?
Well, the same principle, yes, but the star configurations are different for obvious reasons.
Right.
But this is why I'm going to stick my foot in my mouth. 90% of the astrologers out there have made some critical miscalculations or oversights on the astrological process. And this is one of the biggest, I could go into all kinds of reasons why that's the case. And I know I've got astrologers out there that are going to go, well, there's thousands of books out there. And I'm telling you, yes, there's thousands of books out there. And aside from the Ephemeris, which I'm not about to argue, and that's just a book that shows where all the planets are, the calculations that astrologers in 90% of cases use are, frankly, flawed in a fundamental way. But that's a topic for a whole different show. Because rest assured, that one's way more complicated than you might think.
Well, maybe we'll talk about astrology specifically and take some chat room reading requests for you on Father's Day. Maybe we'll make that a Father's Day show.
Well,
hey, I got a question for you, Keith.
Sure.
What is what the species that we know about or we interact with, are they from what's the furthest out there any race has come to us? I mean, the universe is so unimaginably vast.
Well,
I mean, are we talking like a local within the galaxy, or are we talking about like the galaxy cluster we're a part of?
Now, this is where my lack of astronomical knowledge on this planet comes in to be a problem. I can tell you the furthest I know of is the Vegans use 2 wormholes to jump to get here.
But they're still basically within our galaxy, right? Like the Milky Way galaxy. They're not from Andromeda or, I mean, there's
we know that
trillions of galaxies out there.
Zeta Reticuli.
Okay, yeah. That's within the Milky Way galaxy. So basically, we're interacting, and the species that we have contact with are, when you think of it on a cosmic scale, they're in the neighborhood. They're local. They're not from the far edge of the detectable universe. They're just from around here.
Yeah, again, astronomically, like we do have people from Andromeda itself here.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot how many light years from now, or how many million years that they'll be here. The whole galaxy is colliding with ours. I would actually like to be around to see that.
I don't think you'll make it in this body.
No, not in this body.
All right, Cole, what's your question tonight? Your first question.
Okay. So my first question. Reincarnation. I was never taught about it as a kid or anywhere in my life really much. I'm wondering if when a person reincarnates, like, does a whole family kind of, like, do the people around you reincarnate with you?
No.
No.
You can end up anywhere?
Well, you can only in as much as you get to choose.
Yeah. You choose when you're going to be reincarnated. Basically, and it was a spirit that actually explained this to me as well. When you have a choice, you can either stay here, in some cases, like the spirit I actually talked to in Germany, he didn't want to be reborn. He went and haunted the local bakery. But you basically get in a line, and you jump into the next body that you want to be in, that is being born. You don't know your family, and that's where some people have that. In this body, they'll have that familiarity with certain people they might meet. And if you do a past life regression, you'll find out potentially that was your mom in another lifetime, or that was your best friend or your soulmate in another lifetime. But no, you don't reincarnate with your family. You come back when you want to come back.
No, but what I mean is, like, do you end up in the same area, or is that a choice?
It is a pure 100% choice, but the average turnaround is 70 years, and people usually show up on the other side of the planet where there is very little option of them running into people from their last life.
It also has to do with karmic backlash in some cases. If you were a jerk in this life, sometimes you might be reborn as on the other end of that jerkness. You might get treated like crap.
Oddly enough, that is also by choice.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. It's a case of, okay, everybody said this, I was being such a creep. I want to know why, so I want to gain the wisdom around that.
Okay. And that makes sense.
The easiest one to explain is people that choose to come in and gain wisdom around living with cancer. Your choices that you make and the opportunity you have on the planet when you're born will dictate whether that wisdom is gained by actually developing cancer or working with people that actually suffer from it. But it's not a black and white, oh, you're going to go through these events.
Okay.
But the reality is that most people do not remember past lives because it causes all kinds of havoc. You just take my word for that one. I remember way too many of mine. And it causes complications. I've actually met a lot of people that I knew in past lives where we've confirmed it. Kind of, you sit down when you meet somebody from a past life, from a reincarnation standpoint, it's really funny. You sit down with local friends, like ones that you met this lifetime. You don't see each other for years. You sit down, you catch up over a cup of coffee, and you talk about things you've done over the last couple of years. I ran into, the two biggest ones, I ran into people from 2,000 years ago that I knew. Ran into a friend of mine that I actually used to work really closely with in Atlantis. But one of the most impressive for me was I ran into an ex-girlfriend. Of course, it was an ex-girlfriend from 1828.
Right.
But,
Interesting. So, Keith, if my past life, let's say I was in Ireland, and now, of course, here in the United States, if I were to learn a different language, let's say I was in Japan past life, and now I'm here, and I go through school, and it comes kind of easy for me to learn Japanese. You see where I'm going with that? Could that
could quite
from film?
be because of a past life overlay?
Because I've heard a lot of people that say, "Oh, I can't learn other languages," and then I've known people that can speak 4 or 5 languages.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And many
So
times it's the same thing with many phobias that people develop. They can't figure out where they came from. Quite often it comes because of a past life memory.
Yeah.
And that's also the interesting. You hear about people that actually remember their past lives, and that you might have a 3-year-old that's never taken a piano lesson in their life because they're only 3, and they come out and they go to a piano and they play a concerto. How did they learn that?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of cases like that. Not a lot, but there's enough to take notice to it anyway.
Yeah, like there was a 5-year-old a little while ago that laid out names, addresses, the whole 9 yards of what he did as a fighter pilot in World War II. Mm-hmm. And when they checked on the story, they found the fighter pilot had not only lived where he had said, but died. I died in the way he had explained, and how the 5-year-old had laid out.
Right. Yeah. Now we're getting close to the top of the hour. I want to get Brent in here real quick. Do you have a question for tonight?
That led up to mine. I mean, that leads me to one. Now the fear of dying, when it goes away, is that when you died at that age? In this life, did it... Okay, how am I trying to say it? When you stop being afraid of the thing that you're massively afraid of, at that certain age, is that when you died in that past life of that thing?
Oh, I hope not, but it's possible.
Because I was massively afraid of water and bees. Pardon?
I think, from my standpoint, I think when you reach that point where you're no longer afraid of dying, that's when you've had an insight, and it is probably on the subconscious level, when you realize what death really is. Okay. Because we're taught to fear death from the get-go. And it's really no big deal.
No.
And, when you really think about it, why do people fear death? A lot of death fear comes from the stem of religion.
Oh, yeah.
And society. That's why people fear death.
Well, most people are afraid of the unknown, aren't they? I mean, that's one thing that I don't know why I've had that in my head for years. But I always say that. You're afraid of the unknown.
Well, yes. That too. And the only reason I bring up religion is because when you go to certain religions, you're taught that if you're bad, you're going to hell. If you're good, you're going to heaven. So if you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you've been doing some bad things, aren't you going to fear death because you don't want to go to hell because of what you've been taught hell is?
It's all fear. It's all social control and fear.
Right.
They tell you who you can screw, what you can eat, what day you have to, do this, do that. You're from cradle to grave. You're told, okay, be a good boy in school, or everything in a human lifeline. If you don't liberate yourself from it, is slavery and rule through fear.
Yeah, for the most part. The funny part is, once you really get a handle on death, it really doesn't bother you. Although I will tell you, I'm not looking forward to it, and it's not the death that worries me. The thing that I'm not impressed with is some of the methods of getting there.
Yeah. It's like the long fall doesn't kill you, it's a sudden stop at the end.
Exactly. And people tell you freezing to death is the best way to go. No, trust me, you hurt like a monkey when you're freezing to death.
I bet.
All right, so Keith, let's go with your second question, and we'll start discussing it, and we'll carry it off into the second hour.
Well, it was something that caught my attention a while ago. You know, when you do the intro to S4 here, you always start off the same way, which is normal. Mm-hmm. But I am curious why you started off with all things terrifying instead of using the other neat little word that I like, all things fascinating.
Well, again, you know, and I like Chris's, you know, the fear of the unknown, and that's really when you see the paranormal TV shows. When anyone brings up paranormal, they always, you know, oh, ghosts are spooky. Oh, Bigfoot. Yeah. He's terrifying. You know, and we won't even talk about the off-world. Well, off-world, oh my God, he's going to take me. Everything about what we deal with in FMP is terrifying. You do get many cases where, you know, I heard a voice and it sounded like my grandmother. You know, the soothing, the protection, you know, it's a protective family member, things like that. You do get that quite often. But for the most part, people are terrified of the unknown. So we could change up our intro and go with fascinating. But is it really fascinating? It's fascinating for the paranormal investigator. It's not so fascinating for the experiencer.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
And so, yeah, no, it's a good point, though. Excellent point. I never thought of it that way. I just know, you know, the clients that we get on the team, they're not fascinated. Because, you know...
No. No, I've worked with some on the extended care side that were terrified. And I mean scared to death.
And I guess my main point with, you know, because S4 is the voice of FMP. So with that, I bring up terrifying because I want people to know that we deal with the terrifying. And we make the terrifying not so terrifying anymore. Yeah. That's the point of the team. Say again?
I said, we ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Hey, copyright, come on.
I knew you'd like that one, Cole.
We're trying to get Dan Aykroyd on the show, not get him to sue us.
Well, here's the thing. If he sues us, we can talk to him and get him on the show.
There you go. You have
I don't think we'll be talking to him.
You're right. Yeah. We can, well, yeah. But anyway, I hope that kind of explains it a little bit, Keith.
Yeah, it does. I do appreciate that.
Anyway, folks, we're at the top of the hour. I gotta say, if you're local, you have to go to Java Zone 2. We haven't made their commercial yet, but they have the best coffee upriver, hands down.
Absolutely.
And we did go to Bigfoot Java today, only because I had to try it, and I asked the girl, you know, that served us, if Bigfoot actually drinks their coffee. And she didn't know. She said he might sneak in at night and get their coffee, but she's not there at night, so she doesn't know. So we, you know,
she didn't say no.
No, she didn't.
I like it.
Anyway, enjoy the commercials, and we'll see you next hour.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Well, hello there. Us here at S4 would like to remind you out there that the UFOI Team weekly meetings are broadcast live on Facebook from Denny's, where America eats, each Monday night, 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at UFOI Team on Facebook. The UFOI Team's gear, product store, and newsletter are located on their website at ufoiteam.com. To contact the UFOI Team with your sightings report or a paranormal story, send an email to theufoiteam@gmail.com. Keep looking up and tell us your story.
Forest Moon Paranormal is a non-for-profit emergency response team that handles all aspects of the paranormal, helping you, your family, friends, and community since 2004. Whether you're having a problem with hauntings, spirits, Bigfoot, other types of cryptids, or UFO activity. Maybe you're just unsure of what's bothering or terrifying you. Or maybe you're just afraid of criticism and disbelief. FMP is here for you. We handle cases globally and locally from our headquarters in Skagit County, Washington. We never accept any form of payment for our services and are 100% confidential. You can find us on Facebook under Forest Moon Paranormal. You can private message us for assistance, or just come join in the discussion and become part of our growing FMP community.
Hello, my name's Cole Wegleitner with Statement of Sound DJ Productions. We do mixing, monitoring, recording, and editing for all your audio needs. For our local listeners in the Skagit area, we are taking bookings for your 2019 events and parties. We have a wide array of music from any genre. Please allow us to help you make these memories last forever. Contact us at 360-999-2830 or on Facebook at www.facebook.com/SOSDJPro. Join us on September 28th at the Cedro Woolley Community Center for 2019 Forest Moon Paranormal Paracon. VIP All Access passes on sale now at fmparacon.com. Your pass includes all-day admission to see the speakers and workshops, the Ghost Walk, a special VIP workshop, a special roundtable with the speakers, a Paracon t-shirt, and an FMP Paracon swag bag. These tickets can be purchased from fmparacon.com. Get yours today.
Hey everyone, Cole here with S4 Paranormal Radio, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. Looking for a way to get the word out there about your business, group, team, or product? Let us help you. A few clicks is all it takes to get started at s-4radio.com, or you can contact me at 360-999-2830. Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Welcome back to S4 tonight as our May Roundtable. You can also find the archives at our Spreaker site and on the S4 YouTube channel for all the shows you missed in the last, it's going to be 3 years. I can't wait for our anniversary show in July because Cole's going to put together a compilation of the best shows we've done just for the intro. Anyway, back to the show. So, Keith came up with a second question. We already answered it. It was quick. Chris, what's your second question?
My second question is, I watched a show last night. I guess that's all I do is watch TV. And I watched the show last night that was talking about the Yeti and that they're very aggressive and mean and would attack people. So I kind of started thinking, well, if number one, are they in the same family as Bigfoot?
No.
Are they relation?
And I'm going to have,
So-
you know what? I'm going to have Keith answer that more than I can, because we've recently we've gotten a lot more discussion into that. So you've got the BFRO, the Bigfoot Research Organization, and there's a lot recently, especially more aggressive Bigfoot stories coming out. And according to one video I watched, the guy actually said he talked to the Bigfoot, and they said they were from the stars. And they actually, much like Steve Monchok, our drone operator's experience, with the drone that was coming, or the orb that was coming through the tree line, I found that interesting. So are they Bigfoot? No, they're not. Those are not Bigfoot. They're not related. Those are, how do you pronounce that name again, Keith? The Awaji?
The Awara.
Awara. That's it. So go ahead and talk about the Awara real quick.
Well, the Awara are an aggressive race, especially compared to the Bigfoot and the Yeti, which I'll get back.
And they said they're white. They said they're like a real light color.
Well, the Awara range in color as much as humans do.
Oh.
Okay, basically, from a human standpoint, they're fur-bearing.
Right.
Okay.
Now, I don't know what the clinical definition is, whether it be fur or hair, but I do know their colors range anywhere from white to black, depending on their heritage.
And they are an off-world race, and they are aggressive.
Absolutely. And the reality behind them is they do have four limbs, like they are bipedal, but much like Terran apes, they do have totally opposable thumbs on their feet. Like their feet work like hands.
Yes, they showed a footprint, and the big toe was like huge, and the other toes are kind of off, like weird.
Not Yeti feet.
And that's the same with Bigfoot. I think your biggest difference between Bigfoot and Awara are really going to be the personality, and that's the aggression.
That is the biggest difference, yes.
Yeah, the aggression factor and where they come from. Bigfoot is a planetary species, whereas Awara comes from off-world.
Exactly.
So I found that unique, because that explains why all of a sudden you're hearing more of these aggression stories.
So they're not really Yeti. They're that other name.
Exactly. In answer to the first question, though, the Yeti and the Bigfoot and the Sasquatch are all different names for the same race.
Okay.
Really based on culture, because if you look at Yeti is found in India. Yeti is found in, I think even Russia calls them Yeti. I may be wrong on that one.
Well, on the show they were saying tribal. Tribal called them Yeti.
Okay.
That's what they said on the show.
So do we put the swamp ape down in Florida? Is it part of the Yeti Bigfoot clan, or is it, because it seems to me that the reports of encounters with swamp apes, it doesn't go well. They're very aggressive. Seems like in the South we have, here in the South, Atlantic Midwest, or Mideast and the Southeast, we have this more aggressive, they call them like Kentucky wild man. The connotation is usually negative in this area.
Right. In the South, the swamp ape is always seen as aggressive. But if I was hairy and living in 120 degrees and really humid, I would be really ticked off too.
Eric, don't move to Arizona.
No.
I love Arizona. I did a contract. One of my first MedTech contracts was in Arizona. I just absolutely loved it.
No, Mark was living here.
So Keith, is the ones down south in Florida? What are they?
The swamp ape itself?
I mean,
is it just a subspecies of the what you have in the Pacific Northwest, or is it completely different?
No, from
entity altogether?
everything I've heard, it seems to be more akin to the Aborigines of Australia as compared to the people of the United States and of the so-called first world countries.
Oh, the European versus the Aboriginal?
Yeah. It seems to be more along that line.
Sort of like a feral version, maybe?
It was a lot more aggressive. A lot more physically imposing, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the swamp ape. No, I can't remember. What do the Australians call Bigfoot? They got their own
Yowie.
Yeah, Yowie.
Yowie.
Hey, just for anyone who's listening who has kids, we just watched a really awesome show on Bigfoot tonight with the kids. It's called Smallfoot. It's pretty much brand new, but it was absolutely hilarious.
It looks cute.
I'm going to have to look that one up.
It is a really good show, and it explains how they're not an aggressive creature. They think we're monsters as much as we do to them.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
And that one's on Netflix, right?
No, it was on my HBO.
Oh, that's depressing. Write them and tell them to put it on Netflix so I can get it.
That was Smallfoot?
Yeah, Smallfoot.
Okay.
It only came out in theaters probably 3 months ago.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch it.
That's a good one for FMP Junior to sit down and watch it.
Yes, it is.
Is that a movie or a series?
It is a movie.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent.
See, it was funny. I just had a conversation with somebody. They've known me for years, and they only just found out I'd run into Bigfoot years ago. Which surprised me when he didn't tell me I was nuts. You know.
What would you do, everyone on in this station here tonight? What would you do if you became face to face with Bigfoot?
Shake his hand.
Sit down and have a and join him for a meal like I did the last time.
I would definitely offer him a cigarette, though.
No,
I
don't
don't
give
think
him a cigarette. Well, you can give him a cigarette. He'll eat the dang thing, but, you know.
I like to hope that I would be able to keep it together. I don't know. I think it would be... I would probably cycle between disbelief, shock, you know. Oh, my God.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm
there
with
might
you.
be some fear in there. It's like, okay, how do I encounter this thing without ending up being twisted around a tree and tied in a bow knot?
Don't beat him in the game of chess.
Well, I know there's certain things with primates you don't do. We as humans are taught to look at each other in the eyes when you're talking to somebody.
Yeah.
And if you're, other primates, that's where people get in trouble with gorillas and chimps. They look at them and well, that's a challenge.
Well, fortunately, Bigfoot does not see that as a challenge.
So you don't have to worry about eye contact.
No, but Lord knows you're going to anyway. I tell you, the most frightening part about them is they outweigh you like 3 to 1.
And
the sheer mass is, to say the least, a little imposing.
And they're about 8 to 9 foot tall.
I think the first thing I do is put my hand over my nose because I heard they really stink.
They do.
They are, but that's because of the temperature and the fact that they are, shaggy as all get out.
Yeah.
I mean, I've walked by humans that'll make you gag, so...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So for listeners that, and us, Markham heard his first Bigfoot knock right here in the FMP headquarters backyard. And that was really cool because it was literally right in the backyard at the gravel pit. And, a lot of people, so we talk about the smell. And I think it was a couple weeks ago we actually talked about the smell as well. So they smell, some people say they smell like a wet dog. Like a really, really bad wet dog. I would akin them more to a musky cross between a bear and a skunk, to be honest with you.
Ew.
Yeah, nobody said it was a pleasant smell.
No, not at all. Not at all. But not near as bad as reptilian smell. Reptilians smell like a pure rotten flesh / sewer. So, yeah, I'll take the smell of a Bigfoot over a reptilian any day.
They probably think we stink too, so.
Yeah, they do.
So, yeah, like, I really can't blame them.
No. So, Rich.
Yep.
What's your second question?
Second question. All right, let me pull it back up here. Second question for the show, the panel, the guests, the listeners is coming up. Come on. I figured this would happen. Okay, here. Well, this was a little off from what we've been talking about.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Telekinesis, we're in this new, I guess, I don't know, enlightenment that's going on around the world. I'm not a part of it, but from what I hear, a lot of things are really getting ramped up. Like, people are more psychic than ever. People are able to do things they've never done before. People who never had an experience or experienced things before, including myself. But is telekinesis something that we do on purpose, on accident, or a mixture of both? Because I've had experiences where you can get mad, and I've made smoke detectors go off by walking past them when I was younger.
Sad reality is it's all three of the above.
Is it? Yeah, I had a feeling. Yeah. Is there anybody now, other than the people of the past that we've all heard of, anybody now practicing telekinesis that we know of?
Working on it. Psychocellular kinesis I do all the time, also known as accelerated healing.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask. All right. What is it? Psycho-accelerated?
Psychocellular kinesis, meaning mind over cellular matter. Yeah, that came out well.
But yeah,
it literally boils down to telling your body to heal faster.
I believe in that. Yeah. We were talking about that because your body's made up mostly of water. And I just talked about this last night, how thought can change the molecular structure of water. So if it can do that, yeah, why couldn't you heal yourself, right? I mean, I don't know how, but
there's a lot of theories out there. The one I like, I think, the most. So we're supposed to be in an age of enlightenment, where people are awakening, and by awakening, there's two trains of thought with it. Awakening in that, yes, we know off rulers are here and they're exposing themselves to us.
That's just wrong.
It is. And the second with that is the age of enlightenment, in that you're finding the abilities that you haven't had before, like you said, are exposing them.
Well, the sad reality is we go back about 400 years, and there's a real good reason why people quit using the accelerated abilities.
400 years.
Yeah, I believe they call it the witch hunt.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah,
yeah,
that's true too.
Yeah, it got really depressing showing people that you could do things like that. Because all of a sudden you had to try and prove that you could breathe underwater, and if you could do that, then you were cooked anyway.
Yeah. Now going back to the Age of Enlightenment, I heard a lot of people talking about 2012 because everybody was in fear. You had a lot of fear mongering going on with it's the end of the world. The Mayan calendar ended, and I always thought, was it going to be the end of the world, or was it going to be the age of an era, or the age of a period where people are awakening after 2012? And that's really what the end of the Mayan calendar meant. Was not the end of civilization or the end of humanity, but the end of a certain period of time where, after 2012, you're going to start opening up your mind, being able to heal, being able to do telekinesis. Now, when you're talking about telekinesis in general, it's always gone on. And that's actually where a lot of poltergeist activity comes from. It always has. Sometimes poltergeist activity is indeed a spirit or an entity. A lot of times, in the first question we ask any client that starts talking about things flying around is, do you have a prepubescent female in your home? Because preteens or teenage females that don't know how to ground their energy at that period of time in their life will actually start making things move. Sometimes,
especially if the home is traumatic.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what causes poltergeist activity quite often. And once you teach them how to ground their excess energy, the poltergeist activity will stop. And that's where that's where the extended care team comes in. Go ahead.
And are females more prone to this for some reason?
There is a very simple reason why. The answer is yes, but it's because females are taught it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to have to have feelings. It's okay to express your creative side. And it's that creative side, that imagination, that is the key to the higher senses. That's why females, on the rough ratio, is about three females to every one male, from what I've seen.
Well, you look at it this way: men have always been taught since they were young that you're a wuss if you cry. If you show emotion, you're weak. That's always been a masculine trait or a masculine thing that's been taught.
Yeah,
whereas
for time
females, whereas females will always, they have no problem showing emotion.
Yeah,
and for me, growing up, females are kind of taught to look for that masculinity, to pick a partner with the masculinity. So, no, it doesn't give males a opportunity to be creative or anything like that. Makes complete sense.
The thing that people have to understand when it comes to the actual term is psychokinetics, meaning mind over matter.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Which people call telekinesis. But the big thing to keep in mind is if you look at the practicality of it, moving your hand is literally moving one cell to the next, sending a signal from one cell to the next cell, and getting the mass to move as a unit. Psychokinetics is the same thing, sending that message through one molecule to the next until it gets to your designated cluster, i.e. a coffee cup. And rest assured, that's the thing I'm working on myself. If I get my coffee cup to come to me without getting off the couch, I'm happier.
Right.
So when I do extended care, Keith, and I teach people how to shield, I say use your imagination, but in reality, what are they doing?
In reality, they're using their imagination, but it's kind of like the medical placebo effect. The reality is they work, so keep doing it. Ultimately, what they're doing is you're telling them to imagine, because they don't have the heightened senses to be able to feel the molecular exchange. They imagine it happening, and subsequently it happens.
Because you can imagine and visualize it, and it works.
So
the law of attraction?
Well, the difference between imagination and what you do when you're creating a shield is creative visualization. Yeah. So imagination, you're not putting so much energy into it, whereas creative visualization, you're actually using your imagination, but you're actually creating energy with your imagination to make it physical.
Ultimately,
and if you have them visualize it, then they have more of an apt to believe it because they can visualize it.
Right.
Yeah, the more of the physical senses you can draw into that picture, the more effective that ability is going to be.
Now,
so I'm more or less the more detail.
Yes.
Exactly. Now, it's creative visualization that you use when you create thought forms as well, because you're pushing energy through your mind, using your mind. So imagination is only picturing something, whereas creative visualization is picturing that, but pushing the energy. And that's where, say again?
They're actually moving it. They're actually moving it.
Yes.
Moving the shield.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where things like, shadow, the shadow figures come from, Slender Man comes from, because when you start pushing energy into a thought form, you're actually giving it life. The more people believe in it. And that's why those kinds of things take form. Because when you're using global creative visualization, you're putting so much energy into something, you are giving it real life. You're making it physical.
This is why Lemuria doesn't have, why there are no functional records of the Lemurian Empire, because it was built on the psychocell, on the kinetic energies. It was built on physically manifesting the visualization. And of course, when they died, well, so did everything they had built.
And they didn't write anything down.
Well, in all fairness, why write it down when you've got it at your fingertips?
Oh, yeah. Until everybody died. And
Well, that was a mistake.
Oh, yeah.
That was really a short-sighted thought.
I absolutely agree. And you only have verbal stories as long as those people that were living at that time have someone to carry it on and carry on the verbal stories.
Exactly. I mean, that's one of those civilizations that was remarkable when it was here, but ended not because of war, not because of disease. It literally ended because somebody came up with a brilliant idea that was really short-sighted.
I've got to say, we got some awesome questions coming out tonight. Really good show tonight with the diversity of the topics we're talking about. It's great. Brent, what's your second question?
Actually, I'm going to go back to reincarnation. What about
Okay, we're not doing the telepathy thing yet.
No, I don't hear you yet. Your telepathy's not working.
Did we lose him?
I don't know.
Okay.
I've only got 4 showing on my end. 5, sorry.
I still got 6.
Okay, well, let's move to, we'll get back to him. Markham, what's your second question?
Oh, there's 5.
Okay, it's something that popped up while we were talking about the movie The Arrival, the one with Martin Sheen and the aliens had their legs that went backwards and, could jump and run so fast. Did anybody else make the same connection with the 19th century phenomenon known as spring heel? Hello?
Sorry.
That came in at the wrong time.
Okay, how much did you guys hear?
Up until, did you hear? Did anybody make the connection?
Okay, with the 19th century phenomenon known as spring heel jack.
Bingo! I remember that. Oddly enough, I do actually literally remember that story.
It sounds like the same creature, pretty much.
Yeah, what I don't remember with Spring Heel Jack is, do you remember what color he was?
Well, that's just it. They don't think he seemed to have worn a cape or a cloak. The basic. I don't think they ever saw the basic outline of the guy. It looked like he was in some kind of clothing.
Right.
I don't think it ever. To me, Spring Heel Jack and some of the stories behind the Jersey Devil sound almost like it's the same creature or same family of creatures.
Well, I do know when I ran into the Martokian in Kelowna here, and that was neat. They've got reverse knees as well. Right, so we could quite conceivably be dealing with, even at that point, the Spring Heel Jack, and for that matter, the Jersey Devil. It would not surprise me to find come right out of Mars. See, the neat thing with Mars, or what they call Martok, which is why they're called Martokians, is they do have the reverse legs, and much as they are green, they are not little. The one I met was over 6 feet tall.
Spring-heeled Jack was supposedly well over 6 foot tall.
That wouldn't be a shock at all. That would fit right inside. So I'd be inclined to say we're looking at the same people. And they're not really that far away from us when you think about it.
I'm not familiar enough with Spring-heeled Jack to even discuss that one, so I'm just listening.
Me too.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I remember that being quite the story at the time. Of course, at the time that we're talking about, I was living in Chicago. That was my last life.
All right. So, Cole, what's your next question?
Okay. So, I'm going to switch topics to ghosts. What happens when let's say a ghost is haunting a house? What happens when it burns down?
Ghosts seldom burn.
Yeah, but like, do they just stay in the area, like, or do they find something to attach themselves to?
So when a property burns down, they're stuck on the property. Generally speaking, they will stay right there on the property, and that's where
sucks.
That's where a lot of your land-based spirits come from. So,
yeah, it's been, I mean, if they're attached to the house and the house burns down, they're released, but...
Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I find a lot of wandering spirits come from.
Right.
Is if they're attached to the building and the building goes away, now they don't have an anchor point.
Well, and that's, that's why I have to laugh at all these paranormal TV shows that, I've got a demonically possessed house, we're going to burn it down. Yeah, that's not a good idea. It's not going to fix a darn thing.
No, but it will remove the house.
It will. They won't resell it. But, so you clear off the foundation, you remove the remains, and you build something else there. It could very well become demonically possessed again.
Well, yeah. And, of course, removing the topsoil doesn't work that well, because you got to go down about 150 feet.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And even then, if they're attached in the right place, they're being attached to the layer of reality at ground level.
And bear in mind,
it doesn't matter.
Some spirits will attach to, so if you take the remains of a house, it got destroyed for whatever reason. I'll use an example. There was a good movie that came out, I can't remember the name, Flight 101 or something like that came out in the 70s, where an airplane was haunted because it turns out they used parts from a crashed plane on a new plane. And it was haunted because there were spirits that are attached to those parts. Same thing with, lumber, bricks. Some spirits can attach to certain parts. So using used wood from a house that, got demolished can potentially, not always, it doesn't happen a lot, but cause a haunting in a new house that was built with reclaimed materials. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I find it kind of fascinating. I'd love to get a hold of a house like that, but, I'm just twisted.
Okay, hold on. All right.
Did we get Brent back, by the way?
No, I don't see him on online at all.
No, I think their internet might have went out.
Okay.
Oh, does that mean we lost Chris too?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, they're same site. Somebody look out the door and see what's going on.
Right.
It's dark here.
Yeah, are there? Are there any saucers coming across from Mount Baker?
Not as far as I can see.
No, me neither, but I can't see Mount Baker right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can look at the door. I can't see Mount Baker from here either.
Which way is my house facing? Neither can I. Never mind.
Forward.
You got trees in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I always find my house faces forward. That's the easiest way to put it.
Keith, what is your third question for tonight?
Well, I could ask you that really complicated one. Does anybody actually remember what the actual theory of relativity was that Einstein quit trying to explain to people?
Which part of it?
Relativity that everybody
Special relativity, or because there's more than one. Everybody thinks that it's E equals mc squared, but it's really there's different. There's two different formulas. There's general relativity, and then there's special relativity.
See, I know of one, and although it sounds mathematical, it's not a mathematical equation. And the one that I found from him was 1 + 1 = 3. But it is not mathematics.
Well, in binary, 1 and 1 is 3.
Yes, it is.
Oh.
Yes, I do understand binary math to a degree. Still can't do multiplication and division with it. But no, the theory of relativity I learned was 1 + 1 = 3, but it has nothing to do with mathematics at all. And that's what confused the scientists at the time. Ultimately, it boils down to when you take 2 points, or two positions, you have the starting point, the ending point, and everything in the middle.
Right.
You know, whatever is left over. Which is why every question has a yes, a no, and a maybe as an answer. I didn't figure that one was going to run very long.
I had to step away and do something on the other side of the lab, so I missed half of the question, unfortunately.
Oh, well, if you only missed half of the question, then the other half of the question was 1.
Oh, okay.
That's the first half. The last half is 3. The question was, do you know the theory of relativity? And you answered it from your end and then walked away, apparently.
Yeah.
I'm as confused as the scientists from long ago.
I don't do math.
Understandable. So I'll tell you what. Make a note of it, and do your best to show up at the Paracon, and I'll be more than happy to lay it out for you.
We'll put it
Keith.
in the book.
I didn't do it.
I'm not that smart. I'm sorry.
It's over my pay grade, too.
Yeah. I don't do math. I barely passed college statistics and advanced statistics. And no. And they're all completely different math formulations. And
I always like the idea in the Frank Herbert books that space travel was really staying in one place and moving space to you. They folded space. They didn't, the reason that they could travel faster than light and go from one side of the known universe to the other wasn't that the ships were moving. It was through some kind of mental phenomena. Space was moving while the ship stood still.
You gotta admit, that's faster.
Right.
Well, we know there's got to be some way that Einstein's theory, or, they keep saying, the speed of light is the ultimate speed limit. It can't be, because quantum entangled particles prove that there is something faster than the speed of light in real time.
Well, it's, if you think about space travel, like gravity, okay, anti-gravity works by creating a field that counteracts the impact of gravity. Well, your flight operates the same way in interstellar flight. Okay, there's 2 ways of doing it. One is through the infinity, what I call the infinity drive or the OTE drive. And the other one is if you can counteract the gravitational pull, the gravitational impact of space on your ship, space will move past you much faster than your ship can. And all of a sudden you end up essentially transporting to the other end of the universe.
So is that the concept with Stargates?
Ultimately,
they use wormholes of Einstein-Rosen bridges, right?
Yes. The concept of the Stargate is a controlled wormhole.
And it's basically, it's basically like folding a piece of paper and going through it to get to the other side.
Yes.
See,
the thing that they do is they change the vibratory rate of the molecular superstructure in order to make it happen.
And that's pretty much the exact same concept they show in Stranger Things with where the Upside Down and how you get to the Upside Down is if you watched Stranger Things before.
Yeah, I watched the whole series in a binge run over about 4 days.
Yep.
Yeah,
me too. And the next season's coming out in July, and I'll be watching that too.
I won't be watching it until it gets on Netflix.
Yep. And that's, the same concept I've said on the show before. I see the Upside Down is very similar to Astral. Yeah, that's where the Astral realm is.
And that's a good way to look at.
Yeah, that's sort of the connection I made. It was like the neighborhood in the Astral you don't want to go, at least not by yourself.
Oh, I don't know. I grew up there. Well, I'll use the term
like
grew up a little.
The Cabrini Green of the Astral realm.
Well, the Astral can be like that. I mean, that's just hands down. The Astral's not all friendly, and nowhere in the Astral is all friendly, which is why we have. Well, that's exactly why we have protocols on the team as far as you don't go on cases with one person, generally speaking. If I know it's going to be a generally safe, basically a spirit crossing over, then yes, I will send one person based on their experience and their strength, on the team within Astral. But if it's going to be a multiple situation case, then yeah, we will send 2 or 3 people from the Astral team to handle it.
Send in the big guns.
Yeah. It depends on the situation. But no, the Astral is not all...
No, definitely not. And, contrary to popular belief, when you're in the astral plane, you can end up very physically dead.
Yes, very much so.
Ultimately, I grew up understanding the astral plane as the cesspool of humanity's consciousness.
Yeah, well, with a bunch of other stuff included. That's where the fae can be found, and that's where dragons can be found. That's where off-worlders can be found. There's a whole lot more than just the cesspool of humanity, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. It's a whole different world over there.
Yeah. So, Rich, what's your third question tonight?
My third question is a very interesting one. I can't wait to hear what you guys think. Forests, plants, trees, can they think?
Yes.
Yes.
How?
They have a soul.
I mean, how do they have intelligence, not just for surviving, like turning towards the sun? I'm talking, do they talk to each other, communicate, and how?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Very
through
well.
their root systems, through fungal intermediaries. There's the release of certain chemicals, kind of like ants use chemicals as a means of communication. They're finding that trees aren't just inert wood. They're starting to find out that they do communicate, that they do know when a neighboring tree has been cut down. There is. I don't know if it's consciousness like us, but there's a consciousness of some kind there.
Yeah, when the reality is when you learn to listen to them, they will tell you all sorts of things about what's going on, and trees do mourn. If somebody comes down and cuts a tree down, or worse, breaks a limb on a tree. They feel pain. They communicate said pain. They just don't move fast enough to retaliate.
Well, that depends.
Well, yeah, I mean, some of them fall over and you're hooked.
Uh-huh.
Well, there's this plant that when beetles or some insect starts chewing on it, it actually mimics the enemy or something of the enemy to that beetle or that prey, and they will scatter so they don't get eaten. And I don't know how the plants do it, but it's a defense mechanism to let that predator that's eating them know that their predator's around, and they leave. It's very interesting.
You're going to love this one, but that is literally the plants. That is a form of botanical telepathy.
I kind of had a feeling it was something like that. Yeah, it's just amazing because we go around chopping trees down like nothing, and I'm like, the whole planet's alive, man. They got to feel that. That's got to be awful.
There are trees in, I think it's down in South America somewhere, although, quite frankly, you guys are the researchers, you'll know better than I am. But there are trees that physically walk.
Huh.
They literally uproot themselves and move.
Wow.
I just can't remember if it's in South America or Borneo or which one of the South Pacific end it is.
That's absolutely unheard. I've never heard of that. That's crazy.
So there's there's also a couple of other things to bring up with that is certain, and we've talked about fae on the show before. So there are certain fairy types that are a part of plants.
Absolutely.
And did you say fairies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So fairies are real. They do exist.
Yeah.
We deal with them in FMP with some cases, as a matter of fact. On occasion, we have one case specifically where there was a cat that you could actually see being lifted up and attacked on a video. And when the astral team went in, it was a fairy type or a fae type that we had to remove. And we put him back in his home and close the door, basically. But yes, and for example, dryads are the soul of the tree. When a tree is cut down, they don't die with the tree. They can actually move to another tree. So it's not like a soul you would think of. They can actually move to another tree. But there are certain fae that are basically nature fairies that do take care of plants. So,
yes.
And try this at home. Try playing Bach or Beethoven around your plants. Plants will actually pick up and actually improve with instrumental music.
Absolutely, they will.
Yeah.
Any positive light, any positive upbeat music will make a plant grow. Real angry, negative music or arguments will kill plants.
Yeah.
And it won't matter how much fertilizer you give them or how much proper lighting or water. It just won't make any difference. They'll die anyway.
Well, that goes to that water test, that Masuri guy who, did the molecular structure of water by thoughts.
Yes.
Angry thoughts made it, yeah.
Well, that's just it. He did that one with water. They did the test on the impact of thought and sound vibrations on plants.
Yeah.
Right, and found the same thing. Now, if we keep in mind that Earth itself is a massive living plant colony, and you look at the amount of negativity that mankind is generating, is it any wonder that we're having tectonic and atmospheric upheaval?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to explain too. So we say soul, plants have souls. It's not like a soul you think of. It's not like a human soul. It's not like, it's an energy. They have their own energy that when they die, they're not going to go to the ethereal realm per se.
I'm going to put my foot in my mouth on that one.
Okay.
You're mistaken.
Okay.
It's the same soul.
Is it?
Yeah, you can choose to come back as a plant. You can choose to come back as a rock, or as a person or an animal. It doesn't matter. It's up to you what you want to come back as. Now, granted, you come back as a rock. You're not doing a whole lot.
Now, Kayla's got I was trying to think, I'm glad you asked that question because I was trying to think of that movie. Do you think the plants will fight back one day, just like in the movie The Happening? Huh. If you haven't seen the movie The Happening, you got to watch it. It's a really interesting concept. So in The Happening, basically it's the plants fighting back, without being too much of a spoiler. But do you think the plants will ever fight back?
It's technically possible, but unlikely in the category that Kayla seems to be inferring, and that the movie clearly did. Mm-hmm. The reason being, the plants know instinctively they are going to live for, combined. Their species, if you will, is going to live for millions of years, if not, more to the point, billions. They'll go through evolutionary processes, but mankind does not have that kind of lifespan with it trying to kill itself. So plants do seem to be a whole lot more inherently patient than mankind is.
Okay.
Yeah, imagine to something like a California redwood, what the lifespan of even a long lifespan of a single human. I mean, it wouldn't even register.
Yeah, or you take a look at...
It's like one of those rare subatomic particles that they make in the collider that has an existence of, negative nanoseconds. That's just, we don't even register unless we cut one down, I imagine.
I'd honestly be more worried about the rocks fighting back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in trouble when redwood starts beating on your car.
So on that note, I have a question. Who remembers, and I can't remember the name of the episode, but who remembers the X-Files? Where
I do.
It was one of the first season X-Files, and it happened here in Washington. I mean, theoretically, based on the X-Files, where they were cutting down old growth trees. And basically these insects that lived inside the trees that hadn't been released started coming out and killing humans. So, do you think that's a possibility?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because the reality is it's happening now with microbes up in the North Country. When you take a look at insects and what have you that have been trapped for centuries and have been dormant, all of a sudden you open them up to the air, they start moving.
And
that sort of thing will occasionally happen, although even they will not set out to conquer the earth.
Do you think that some of these species that we see, a part of it that we see that happen, Darkness Falls is the name of the episode, thank you, Kayla. But do you think that some of the, where do you look at science magazines and you see some of these ancient species or unknown species that are all of a sudden found? Do you think that's where some of these come from? I mean, look at the Amazon. The Amazon is being logged all the time. And
some of these species are being uncovered. What's happening is the further mankind digs into places, it's reaching things that have managed to stay hidden. And when you punch a hole in them, like you never see on the surface, take a look at a termite mound. You'll see a few of them wandering around on it, but when you break a termite mound open, all of a sudden all heck breaks loose.
Well, look at Antarctica. All the stuff that's been hidden underneath ice, and with the global, I wouldn't even say global warming, but with the ice melt and with them digging, down in the ice, below the ice, the microbes and the things are unleashing there.
Exactly. And of course, mankind's immune system is not what it was back then.
No, not by any means.
There's got to be some.
These are all side effects of ill thought out exploration.
And Joe's in the chat room and says, let's drill down into an ancient ice and release whatever was around a long time ago. Yeah, and that's what's happening.
Well, this is why I take a look at what they're doing with let's clone animals that existed centuries back and bring them back to life. Like, there's a good idea if I ever heard one not.
Right.
Well, the whole thing about bringing back dinosaurs, there's no way that they can be the size. For one, the oxygen content in the atmosphere isn't great enough to support megafauna like that.
Nope.
You know, if they do clone dinosaurs, they're going to be, well, probably at the most pony-sized for the biggest.
Yeah, but let's face
for the biggest.
Even if you get a pony-sized Tyrannosaurus Rex, you're still going to have a problem on your hands.
Yeah.
Or a pony-sized velociraptor.
Yeah, well, that could be a bigger problem.
Well, the Utah Raptor was roughly pony. The funny thing was in the Spielberg movies, the first Jurassic Park, of course, he had these velociraptors being as big, tall as a human or taller. Well, at that point, when those were created, that was a fiction. The smallest, the largest velociraptors were not, near that size. I don't even think they were ostrich-sized. But during the filming, they actually uncovered the Utah Raptor skeleton, which was in line with his, what he had embellished for dramatic effect. The fossil record actually backed up.
Yeah, that's always a fun thing when science corroborates what reality already knows.
Well, and that's what's interesting about Spielberg, as we were discussing, 2-3 weeks ago on the show. That Spielberg was one of the few directors. There's only, what was it, Keith? 4 directors?
There's 4. 3 in the States and 1 over in Europe.
Right, and they're actually in the know when it comes to off-world races. And that's part of disclosure, because they have actually been given permission to make reality information in movies. So while you're watching a movie and you think it's fiction, it's really based on reality.
Yeah, I can name off a number of different movies that they've done a perfect job on with very little modification to the race. And of course, we always get that neat little question from somebody, where did I get my information? Where do I find it written? Well, you don't. Not yet. That's what I'm working on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not a researcher. I live it.
It's like, okay, I want to meet the xenomorphs, but I want to meet from the movie Alien, but I want to do it in such a way that
oh, no, you
I've
don't.
got 12 feet of steel between me and them.
Yeah, no, okay. With 12 feet of steel between you and them, yes, that would work.
Okay, so who remembers the movie Batteries Not Included?
Yep.
I did. Loved it. Yep.
Fantastic.
That was one of the first VHS tapes I ever bought.
Perfect for kids because there wasn't really anything majorly creepy or scary about it. So is that based on any race that you know of, Keith?
The answer is yes, but they are not that nice.
Well, they weren't that nice when, one of them got damaged either.
Well, that's because they were defending their own.
Right.
The actual race you're looking at are what I call the mechanoids. Okay. And they are, if you've watched, have you watched Stargate Atlantis?
No. I'm not even sure.
Or Stargate itself. There's a race there they call the replicators.
Okay.
Okay, now aside from the fact that the mechanoids do not work on a subatomic level, they work on large part. Okay. And they are bent on wiping out whatever is available. Fortunately, they're not here.
Have they ever visited?
No. No, if they had visited, we wouldn't be asking whether we were alone.
Gotcha. And they wouldn't be rebuilding a building that was getting demolished.
Sure they would. It just wouldn't look anything like it was. Let me put it this way. Them and the consortium have an agreement. They want everybody dead. The consortium doesn't, so they're going to fight.
Right.
they're very much, I always got a kick out of watching the movie The Transformers. Because the Transformers turn into modern day vehicles. Well, you got to ask yourself where they came up with the idea for the modern day vehicles for the Transformers to build before they got to Earth. The mechanoids do not take on forms that blend in. They're not interested in blending in.
Okay.
And rest assured, help is not what I would call what they do.
Yeah, for the movie, though, they probably just had to make it that way, right?
Well, let's face it. The movie was a lot more kid-friendly with it going, oh, they're cute and cuddly and they're here to try and help.
And
I'm thinking it would have had to fall under a different category if it had been the real race.
And I'm pretty sure the Hasbro contract for toys had a big play in that one.
Good bat.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we're coming up to the top of the second hour. We're coming around the bend of the third hour. So when we come back, we'll carry on into our third question of the night. So stay tuned.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Well, hello there. Us here at S4 would like to remind you out there that the UFOI team weekly meetings are broadcast live on Facebook from Denny's, where America eats, each Monday night, 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at UFOI Team on Facebook. The UFOI team's gear, product store, and newsletter are located on their website at ufoiteam.com. To contact the UFOI team with your sightings report or a paranormal story, send an email to theufoiteam@gmail.com. Keep looking up and tell us your story.
Forest Moon Paranormal is a non-for-profit emergency response team that handles all aspects of the paranormal, helping you, your family, friends, and community since 2004. Whether you're having a problem with hauntings, spirits, Bigfoot, other types of cryptids, or UFO activity. Maybe you're just unsure of what's bothering or terrifying you. Or maybe you're just afraid of criticism and disbelief. FMP is here for you. We handle cases globally and locally from our headquarters in Skagit County, Washington. We never accept any form of payment for our services and are 100% confidential. You can find us on Facebook under Forest Moon Paranormal. You can private message us for assistance, or just come join in the discussion and become part of our growing FMP community.
Hello, my name's Cole Wegleitner with Statement of Sound DJ Productions. We do mixing, monitoring, recording, and editing for all your audio needs. For our local listeners in the Skagit area, we are taking bookings for your 2019 events and parties. We have a wide array of music from any genre. Please allow us to help you make these memories last forever. Contact us at 360-999-2830 or on Facebook at www.facebook.com/SOSDJPro. Join us on September 28th at the Cedar-Woolley Community Center for 2019 Forest Moon Paranormal Paracon. VIP All Access passes on sale now at fmparacon.com. Your pass includes all-day admission to see the speakers and workshops, the Ghost Walk, a special VIP workshop, a special roundtable with the speakers, a Paracon t-shirt, and an FMP Paracon swag bag. These tickets can be purchased from fmparacon.com. Get yours today.
Hey everyone, Cole here with S4 Paranormal Radio, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. Looking for a way to get the word out there about your business, group, team, or product? Let us help you. A few clicks is all it takes to get started at s-4radio.com, or you can contact me at 360-999-2830.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Welcome back to S4, tonight's our May Roundtable. You can also find all of the archives at the Spreaker site, on the S4 YouTube channel for all the shows you missed in the last 3 years. Anyway, back to the show. So, who we got? Cole, what's your third question tonight?
Oh, give me 1 second. I got some picture. Okay. Okay. So I have an alien question now.
All right.
There is a lot of different speculation in movies and TV shows about different types of aliens. Is there any that we know of that don't actually come from a planet, but from just like a gassy area in space that there is no actual land surface?
Not that I'm aware of. There are races that come from there, but not a reptilian base.
Okay. So, but there are races of aliens that come from areas that have no land base?
Absolutely.
What would they...
What you would call an air elemental ultimately boils down to that. By the way,
So H.P. Lovecraft got it right.
Yeah.
Without ever realizing it, H.P. Lovecraft, with his color out of space and some of his other horror that bordered on being science fiction, he got it right.
Yes, he did. But reptilian base, no. Not that I'm aware of. You do have plasma based. Okay. There are a number of elementals that come from where there is no land at all.
Okay.
Okay.
So like Waterworld type situation?
Actually closer to the abyss.
Okay.
So yeah, the abyss is a good way of looking at it. But fire elementals come out of any birthing star. You know, and you do occasionally see a fire elemental on Earth. They're fun to watch, but they make a heck of a mess. Okay, you don't usually get them around here very much. Like the different elementals that come from places where there are no land. You got to remember, their whole existence is based on a completely interchangeable molecular superstructure. They are not held to the confines of a physical world.
So, I got to ask you too, based on The Abyss, and we keep bringing up movies, but they're so fun to talk about, and they're so based on reality. We have UFOs and we have USOs, unidentified submergible objects. So, how many races that you know of are like the movie The Abyss? And so 2 questions. How many races come and go from underwater? And I'm not going to count the races that we've had witnesses at sea going up rivers and things like that. But basically ocean based. I'm not going to count lakes. How many races are under the ocean and come and go? And do we have any races that you know of that actually live under the ocean and don't come and go?
Yes. to both of those. Now, you're going to have to give me a minute to do a quiet count in my head. Try and do it while I'm talking to you. But as far as the numbers go, the water elemental they show in the abyss is a very real creature. It is a very real entity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The sea fairies actually live at the base of the Marianas Trench. Now, they do come and go, but the funny part about it is that chemical that they show you in the abyss where the guy coughs up that bluish liquid.
Chlorofluorocarbon. Not chlorofluor. It's a fluorocarbon emission emulsion.
See, that'd be your department.
Well, they actually did. That stuff does exist, and the application that they try to use it for is a emergency. Like everybody knows, if you watch ER or something, give me 2 units of O-neg stat type, the O-negative blood for volume replacement, to get somebody's blood back up. That's sort of the universal donor.
Yeah.
But there's still risk because, 99 times out of 100 it works, but every once in a while you get somebody that's got an antibody, and no matter what you give them, it's going to react. Well, if they could use this fluorocarbon emulsion as a blood replacement, temporary blood replacement, in trauma situations, it would, make it, it'd be great because you give them this, give them the fluorocarbon, then send their blood down to the lab, let me do my thing on it, find out what their type is, what their antibody status is, sit there, it wouldn't be such a frantic thing. You could actually take the time to match the patient to a compatible unit without just, throwing the dice and hoping the O-neg worked this time like it did the 100 times before.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, that race that they show, the water elemental, once in a while you'll see it on the surface, right? But it certainly never comes to land. And the big thing that they took license with was when they had it come out to form the horizontal limb. They don't do
the water tentacle?
Yeah, the water tentacle, they do not build that way. Can they make a face? Certainly. Okay, but not held out of the water like that.
I always wondered, are there races out there that are incorporeal to the point where if they decide to use pea gravel as a body, they animate the pea gravel and forward, or use water to give themselves a form if they need to manipulate something?
Yeah, they're high-level psychokinetics.
Well, elementals can do that.
Elementals tend to use the element they work. But you are right. An Earth elemental will take the little particles of Earth, combine them together to take on a physical form.
Yeah. Well, no, I was thinking more of the water. The water elementals can actually manipulate water to make a form as well.
Yes, they can.
And I think of, Poseidon. Poseidon would be an example of that as well.
Well, Poseidon himself was another. And Poseidon himself, contrary to popular belief, although he was real, he was a sea elf.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he just happened to be well advanced beyond standard level. And I got asked this question the other day by somebody. If you ever watched The Lost World, right? Who the heck wrote it? Arthur Conan Doyle.
Okay.
The little amphibs they show in that, right? The little guys with the big eyes are very real. Very carnivorous, but very real. The neat part there is you'll find them down in South America. Although I recommend not disturbing them. It's kind of like upsetting a land-based piranha. They will eat you.
That ain't cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a few races that'll do that though.
Yeah. And that ain't real concern for the well-being of the person they're doing it to.
No. So how many races are stuck underwater besides the elementals?
They're stuck underwater?
Yeah.
There are some.
Maybe not stuck. That's a wrong. But choose not to come to the surface.
Yeah, there are a couple when they're really deep that will not come to the surface because the reduced pressure of coming higher kills them off.
Okay.
Okay, literally their internal pressure regulators blow their own body apart as they get too high. It's kind of like the ultimate case of the bends.
Okay.
That would suck.
And are there any?
Actually, it explodes.
Are there
sucking is going the other direction?
Are there any bases, off-world bases that you're aware of that are actually under? So I keep thinking of the Abyss and how they had that city in the Mariana Trench.
Yeah, that's not an off-world base. That's a Terran base.
Okay.
Those people evolved here. The same as the Chitauri, which are not water-based, but they evolved here as well.
And will they ever be discovered?
Well, the Chitauri already have been. Okay. That being said, if you're referring to the ones at the bottom of the Marianas Trench, technically they've already been discovered, just people can't get to them. There are a couple of other locations that I know of, and this is not going to make people happy. I'm not about to, on the air, point out where they are.
Right.
Come on. Free fishing weekend's coming up.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Fishing in somebody else's backyard is not necessarily acceptable behavior.
So what about...
Especially when you think that Terrans, humans have this idea, if you trespass, I'm allowed to sue you. These people you trespass as in you start fishing in their backyard, they're permitted to drown you. And they have no qualms about doing so.
I only fish from the shore.
Right. So what about Bermuda Triangle?
It's a wonderful place to visit. Great vacation spots.
So is there a base underneath the Bermuda Triangle?
No. But there is a wormhole caught right smack in the middle of it that you can get to.
Or drowned in.
Or never come back from.
Take your pick. I didn't say you can get back. I said you can get this place.
And with that, I would agree.
I don't recall saying anything about a return trip.
Yeah, I kind of gathered that. So, Markham, what's your third question tonight?
Let's talk about cybernetics. I think that's the correct term. Oh, okay. Bionics and, limb replacement with, biomechanical means. We're getting close to being able to replace human body parts with
robotics
technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, every time I hear, on one hand, it's like with some of my health problems, I'd like to have that, but then I think, okay, how much do you replace of the human before you're not the human? And when you look at the movie AI,
right,
humanity went extinct, and with, it was artificial intelligence and robotics that were running the show.
Well, I'm pretty
How plausible is that?
That was artificial, too.
Do what?
I said, with a lot of people I've met, I'd call that artificial intelligence, too.
Right.
Or highly overrated, I'm not sure which. But, no, the general consensus that I've heard is once you've replaced more than 50% of either the physical body or the brain, you're no longer technically human.
Well, I wonder about, and you got this whole thing with Kurzweil wants to download his consciousness into a, you know, that to me, that just seems like, yes, there would be this entity that identified itself as Raymond Kurzweil and this biomechanical host that was carrying a copy of his but the original, I just don't think the essential original soul, or, you know, that original is going to pass. Ray Kurzweil is going to be in the afterlife thinking, well, wait a minute, I was supposed to go there. I don't think the eternal part of us is going to be able to transfer. Basically, you're making a Xerox of yourself and sending it off to live, but the original is not going to be in that. I don't care how many terabytes and terabytes of information you transfer, it's not going to be you.
Ultimately, until mankind develops technology to the point of building sub-quantum level circuitry that is capable of truly interacting, they will not be able to transfer the entirety of a human consciousness into the brain, because a mechanical item cannot operate the way that the human cell structure does.
So that brings up another point, Keith, and you may be able to answer that, but once you get to that 50%, is that going to cause a fragmented soul?
Fragmented soul, no, but it will cause a fragmented connection.
Okay.
It won't actually damage the soul in the slightest, but the soul will lose functionality, and that result, you'll deal with cascade system failure.
Right, and that makes sense. Because basically your soul is an energy matrix, so you're not going to fragment that energy with robotics. But, yeah, you are going to lose a part of that energy.
Yes.
The more robotics you
put. Building a life support system for the biological construct.
Right. Okay. But you know,
placing limbs and what have you, that's the easy part.
That's still that is a scary topic to think about when you're talking about AI taking over the human body.
Well, yeah, and it's not like that AI that's going forward. Okay, say you get toward the point where you're just about to die, and you undergo this transference, and that next entity, that android, or that cloned body that's carrying your personality and your memories, is going to continue forward thinking it's you, but that original that original you is not going to go with it.
Well, yeah, it's not going to go with it.
That original consciousness is not going to be able to go to that new body.
Well, yeah, because with system degradation, not only are you going to have that problem, you're going to end up with cybernetic organisms going nuts, trying to reclaim what they were, and not being able to do so.
Well, isn't that part of the problem with the Greys? One of the species of Greys?
That is one of the biggest fallacies that I run into. The Greys are not carbon copy and dying.
Oh, they're not suffering from replicate fade and all. Okay.
No, and and that's something that annoys the heck out of me is Greys are robots. No, they're not. Greys are their own species. They're their own race. They're not robots. They're not biological.
I have no doubt somebody made robots that look like Greys.
Yeah, well, isn't there one set of Greys that they're okay? They look like the other species of Greys, but they're really more like meat robots. They're not like there's no will. They do this task. Kind of like
they're called a biological robot.
Okay,
but they're not great.
That's why you get the differing.
They're cereal. What the heck is it called? It's kind of like a Ford. They're a construct that these guys have built to do some of the more dangerous things. But they don't send them out to do any of the intricate interhuman stuff. It's like, okay, let's build ourselves a robot that we can program to operate in zero atmosphere, so we don't actually have to send our people out there.
So they're drones. They're meat drones.
Basically, yes.
They're
not
drones,
a race unto themselves.
But these are not the Greys that abductees are seeing in their homes.
Not at all.
No.
No.
And that's where the fallacy comes in. Because you have a lot of people that talk about abductions. They're talking, oh, yeah, the Greys that come into my house, they're robots. No, they're not. They're actually Greys that are
flesh and blood.
Yeah, they're their own race.
And they do not take kindly to being hit.
Would you agree with the robots potentially being on the craft when where they're taken to?
Potentially, yes, but not interacting with the humans.
Okay.
The drones that you would find on the craft would be ones that are set to handle the navigation interface.
Right, flying the craft.
Yeah. We want to go from point A to point B. We know you can get there, so we'll push these 3 buttons and tell you what to do.
Yeah, and that actually makes sense.
But no, it's not a question of the race dying out. There is no indication that it is dying. I mean, frankly, I've seen little Greys, as in children. They're weird-looking things, but so are little humans.
Are these the 4 foot?
No, trust me, when they're little, they're not 4 feet tall.
Okay.
The 4 foot ones you're talking about, those are the adult scientists.
The 4 foot ones are?
The 4 foot ones are the scientists. The tall, gangly ones are the controllers. They're the ones they're the cast that is born to direct what the scientists are up to.
And those are the 5 foot, I believe.
Yes.
And we scientists always get the crap end of the stick.
Ultimately, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Keith, what is your next question?
When's lunch?
What's your next question?
Oh, you missed that. No, I'm just, I'm going sideways on you here, and I'm just curious as to what you've got lined up as far as the upcoming Paracon comes.
Oh, we want to talk about Paracon. So, Paracon, we've got you speaking about the abductions. We've got Dave talking about... What is Dave talking about? He's talking about the media and the manipulation with disclosure. And you threw me off with that question. We've got Dr. Turi talking about his UFO experiences, and he's also doing a workshop involving... Oh God, what's his workshop? Help me out here, Cole.
Dr. Turi
Yeah.
is talking about Australia. Or astrology, not Australia. What the heck? He's going to be talking about the psychic connection and Australia. Or I still can't say that word.
Astrology.
That's it.
And we have Mike Moore and Ross Allison talking about investigative technique, and then they'll actually be leading the ghost walk at the Northern State Dairy. And then we have Dave Miller coming in talking about
the execution box.
Spirit box apps that he creates. And who am I missing? I don't think I'm missing anybody. And then we have Chris doing, before the ghost walk, because this is the first time we've actually done a ghost walk. So many people want a ghost walk, and I've always been against it because you can't protect the public when you take them on a ghost walk. So to alleviate that, we're doing a workshop on protection, shielding, and grounding. And then, of course, we'll have our team on standby to make sure there's no attachments, there's no spirit attacks, things of that nature when they actually do the ghost walk. Then we have... Go ahead.
Also, the legendary Bigfoot will be in the building.
We have Jason from the Haunted Crew of Canada coming in talking about Bigfoot. I believe he's bringing in another Bigfoot specialist from Canada, actually, to talk with him. So we got two different Bigfoot specialists talking about Bigfoot because that is the theme for this year's Paracon. Then immediately following the Paracon is our VIP Roundtable, where we'll have all the speakers sitting around eating dinner with our guests that buy the VIP tickets. And they'll be available to answer your personal questions.
And the VIP tickets this year are just amazing. They come with so much.
The critical factor there would be dinner.
Well, not just dinner, but they also get a VIP swag bag full of lots of goodies from our FMP store and other places. They get their ticket to the Ghost Walk, I believe, Eric, right?
Yeah. Well, the VIP tickets get everything. They get everything throughout the entire day, plus the VIP Roundtable.
And a T-shirt from Paracon itself.
Yeah. And you can get all these details that I'm missing at the website, www.fmparacon.com. And get your tickets.
See, now I call this Red Letter Day. I caught you flat-footed.
You did. I didn't have any of my printouts because there's so much going on that I need to have my information in front of me. And hopefully I didn't miss anybody. I don't think I did. We are having a workshop as well on drones by Steve Monchok, our drone and mountain operations specialist on the team. I didn't forget them. The workshops are completely separate. They are free as per the price that you pay getting into this Paracon. You pay one fee at the door. You get the workshops included. A lot of the Paracons you see advertised, they make you pay separate for each lecture. No, it's $10 to get in the door, and you get the entire day. Lectures and workshops.
Well, that's what always set our Paracon apart was that it was an all-inclusive. There was stuff to buy once you got inside from other vendors, but it wasn't like a lot of these Paracons. You enter, you wanted to do this too. Well, they keep they nip at you and get more and more. We were always up front.
Right. Now the only difference too is the Ghost Walk is a separate price. The Ghost Walk's $30, I believe it is. But that's because it's an outside field trip type deal, and that's during lunch hour.
And that's the other thing is they get a bonus workshop if they buy the VIP passes as well.
Right.
That was one of my favorite parts when I was a presenter. That first Paracon was that impromptu workshop. It's like when you came up and said, "Hey, you do a workshop about data of evidence collection." It's like, yeah, off the fly stuff like that. That's kind of, it's like, yeah, I'll pull something out of my butt for that.
Right.
I can do that.
And of course, that we had the Forest Moon Paranormal truck all set up and whatnot, and
yes,
that was fun. That was a fun. We have fun at every Paracon we do.
It was. Well, there was no support in the community, and the turnout wasn't that great. But I think it was fun. It was that first time doing it, and it was fun. I'll probably, no matter what, I'm hoping I can get out there for this one as a spectator. I think that first one will always be my favorite.
Let's see, you didn't make it to the first one. The first one, you made it to the
Was
second.
it okay? It was the second one? Was it the second one? I thought I was out there for the first one.
No,
what's your first one?
That was your first one. Yeah, that was your second annual.
Okay.
That you made it out to. The first one was up at Lake Tyee, and that was fun. That was an
Oh,
experience.
okay.
And we still had a good turnout. Even though we got stonewalled and had issues trying to get it all set up, but despite the fact that people tried to stop it, we still succeeded. So yeah, regardless, and don't miss the float. So we will have a Forest Moon Paranormal float at the 4th of July Logger Rodeo Parade in Cedar Woolley. You don't want to miss it. It's a Bigfoot theme.
You're going to have to send a picture.
Huh?
I said you're going to have to send a picture.
We will. And so this year is our first year we've had the Forest Moon Paranormal Junior team. And right now we have 10 kids on the team. And before anyone scowls, no, they don't go on investigations. They don't learn nothing about paranormal. It's essentially a paranormal version of Boy and Girl Scouts. And they actually learn how to change the oil in cars. They're going to learn how to do taxes eventually. That was a request by one of our kids.
I bet Izzy will be teaching that one.
Yeah, that's the plan, but they're too young for that. But they will learn it eventually. It comes with math. But they do get the hands-on with the paranormal gear. They're going to be camping a lot. They're going to learn survival skills, mountain survival skills. It's really life skills along with paranormal. It's not open to the public yet. We're using our own kids on the team as guinea pigs to see how it goes, get our criteria down, and they're having fun doing it. They're going to have their own booth at Paracon. So, and they're going to be dressed up in whatever costume they want to for the parade. They're going to be in the parade, walking along the float and passing out information on Paracon, Forest Moon Paranormal, and they're all looking forward to it. We have, 10 kids now, Cole?
Yes.
Just within the team.
Also, for anyone interested, if you go to www.fmparacon.com, we have 2 contests available to our viewers. A visual art contest, where you create a 2D image, or a flash fiction contest, where you write a story with the theme of Bigfoot as your inspiration. Both will be displayed at Paracon this year for participants to vote on. At the end of the day, we'll tally the votes and select a winner, and they will each receive a $20 gift certificate. So, head over there and enter your contest. Sorry?
I said, what's the age limit you're putting on the story? Like the age for submissions?
Any age.
Any age. And what do we have coming up June 14th, Cole?
Oh, we got bingo. I forgot. I was trying to rap it for a second. Look, we're
going to open a meth lab? I don't know. You got me.
We've had a lot of meetings so far, and we've been working really hard to get this going. We are having a bingo night on June 14th at the Cedar Woolley Grange, and it is going to be an excellent time. We've got cash prizes. We've got interesting prizes from sponsors from all over the Skagit area. It is going to be one heck of a night. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be calling the first bingo. We'll see how I do. I'm probably going to upset a whole bunch of old ladies, but it'll be fine.
Now please tell me you're using a zero-G template.
Huh?
I said, please tell me you're using a zero-G three-dimensional template.
Right. Yeah, that's like, how do you get one 80-year-old woman to say the F word? Get another 80-year-old woman to say, bingo!
Right. So, yeah, that's our first big fundraiser for the year. Yes, we are doing a bingo night. see how it goes. If it goes good, we will keep it. We'll see how it goes, and it might be a monthly bingo. It might be a twice a month bingo. Again, we'll see how it goes for the first time.
Yeah, you have to see bingo not do well.
No, but as a fundraiser, it depends on how it goes. You know,
well, yeah.
Raising funds for Paracon, raising funds for gear, raising funds for promo material, things like that.
It's a way for us at FMP to be able to continue doing the things that we do and expand it a little bit more so we can actually do more for not only our own community but globally.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, getting back to Roundtable. Richard, what's your next question? Do we still have Rich on the show?
I don't know. I've only got 4 hours going on my end.
Why am I still showing 5?
Well, I just got the 5th one. But we are talking my computer, so it argues on occasion.
All right.
Richard, you still here?
He's on mute. All right, Markham, you got another question for us?
Okay, here's an ethical question. I might have asked something similar before. You find yourself in possession of incontrovertible proof. You know, the smoking gun, there's no way this can be blown off, Bigfoot exists. You know that if you take whatever this, whatever it is, just you are going to prove without a doubt to the world Bigfoot as a species, as a people and a culture exists. Would you do it? I would not. Simply for the fact that it seems like any culture modern humans are introduced to,
we destroy.
It's corrupted and destroyed, and I would not want to be the one responsible for destroying, that creature or that creature's society, culture. So I, for one, I might share it with friends. There's an inner circle of people, y'all know who you are, that I would share with because I would trust you with the information. But, my answer is absolutely not. No, for no amount of money.
I'm going to answer it like this. We have you as our scientist for a reason. If I had irrefutable proof, irrefutable evidence, you would be the first one to get the evidence to analyze, which would make it irrefutable proof. And which is why hopefully you'll be moving up this way and we'll have a lab set up that, we get something in our backyard, it's going to you in our backyard, and you've got the analysis equipment to test it. Would I go
but as far as releasing that information to, say, the international press, the international scientific community, would you expose that, that culture to our, because face it, the media is about the worst, pretty much embodies the worst of human nature.
Well, I know in my case, not a prayer.
No.
You frankly couldn't pay me enough to do it.
No, okay. I completely agree. It would not. And, even...
Because there'd be millions at stake. It wouldn't just be like getting $2,000 from the National Enquirer for your story. I mean, this would be the total, it would be easy street for the rest of your life, probably.
Yeah.
But
all 2 seconds of it.
Right, but I'm going to say we don't do this for money. If I did it for money, I would charge for cases, and we would have money for Paracon and equipment and whatnot if we charged for the cases we do. But being as we do this for free, and we're all volunteers. Nobody gets paid doing this, and I catch so much hell. Yeah, you run Forest Moon and you run S4 because you want fame and glory. Really? I catch so much crap doing this show and running this team that you know how many times I almost walked away from running FMP.
I've seen you at some pretty low ebbs where it wasn't it would have taken but the wrong word from the wrong mouth and it'd have been all over.
Yeah. So if I'm doing this for fame and glory, I'm sorry, I don't know. And so would I release it to the world? No. I'm going to say this too. When it comes to our cases, when it comes to the Bigfoot tracks we found, we don't release that information. We say, yes, look, we got a Bigfoot track here. Cool. Here's proof. But do you know where we found it? No, you won't. Because there's no amount of money in the world that is worth all these 11 billion people running out to destroy Bigfoot. And that's exactly what they do. Because they want their own proof.
When humans get to the point they quit hunting Bigfoot, there may be a reason to talk to them about it. But until then...
Well, that's why I think most of the encounters you read about that go well, or you hear about that go well, it's usually somebody who was unarmed, and to coin a phrase, it's Bigfoot chooses you, except maybe under very rare circumstances. I think the one that happened about 30 miles, if guys probably not even 30 miles from where I'm sitting, two guys were out, they were unarmed, they were scouting, looking for where they were going to set up their deer stands. And they came across a pair. It was a male and a female Bigfoot that were on a creek bed, apparently foraging. And these guys were smart enough to, hide and then retreat.
And, So some people think if you carry a weapon or if you carry a firearm, Bigfoot's not going to show himself. To me, that's a fallacy. I think, and this lends, again, why I think Bigfoot is a supernatural creature is they know your intention. Because, the first time I heard a Bigfoot knock, I was actually deer hunting. So I had a weapon. I had two weapons. And we heard the Bigfoot knocks not more than 20 to 30 feet away from us, but we couldn't see him. If he really wanted to hide because we had a firearm,
he wouldn't knock.
He wouldn't have knocked. But at the same time,
that's true.
At the same time, he knew that we weren't hunting him, and he knew we weren't going to harm him.
But I will tell you, there is a way that they do that is not on the spiritual side. Pheromonal release.
Okay.
You smell different when you're not hunting them.
Okay.
But they can sense the intent
through the pheromonals.
Right.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. On that regard, that makes sense. So yeah,
well,
and
well, were we just hiking or were we going up to shoot?
No, we were just hiking that day. The day
we were just hiking. Yeah, that's right. That's the time I flew up. I think you had a sidearm in your belt or something just in case we ran into a wildcat or a bear. But
right. And
popular belief you cannot talk nicely and have a bear walk away.
No.
Well, that's the thing. I don't ever go on the mountain without a sidearm.
Right.
For that fact. And for the fact that, we have unsavory humans that go up in the mountains. So,
right.
I always go. I will not leave my property if I'm hiking. And I encourage anyone, you know, whether you have pepper spray, whether you have a knife, whether you have a sidearm, you know, you don't go hiking without some kind of weapon.
Well, you know what they say, bear poop smells like hikers and pepper spray.
Right. So we're coming to the end of the show. Been a great show. And Markham, where can we find your network?
We are thefringe.fm, KTLK, and, you know, we have Lighting the Void every night at midnight to 3 Eastern, and then Ryan Gable does his show. I just got the Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable from 3 until, I think it's 5, and that's where we're at. Thank you for allowing my plug.
Outstanding. And Cole, where can we find DJ services?
Statement of Sound DJ Services can be found on Facebook at www.facebook.com SOS Pro. And you can also find us at 360-999-2830.
Awesome. And Keith, where can we find you at on YouTube? I know you're doing the Consortium and Alien Race specials now. And I look forward to watching those archives.
That's I'm actually, my channel is R. Keith Andrews on YouTube itself. And of course you can find me at Facebook as Ronald Keith Andrews or Inner Voice Enterprises. And both of those, you know, and obviously if they contact you, I'm pretty certain you'll put them in touch with me.
Oh, most definitely. We always do anyway. And I always, you know.
For a nickel.
Right? And I always take you on cases anyway if I have alien issues. And Rich, are you still with us? I think we lost him. Okay. So if you
remember the old days doing the show where your phone would time up about almost you could set a clock with your phone would time out.
Right?
Like it used to stand that if we didn't lose Eric on the show, it wasn't a complete show.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
That's why I'm on microphone and Skype now, and now that I actually run the studio, I don't get timed out. The only time I get timed out is if I'm actually on somebody else's show on my cell phone. So it's different now. S4 is different. So if you have a paranormal issue, if you need to find our group, you can find us at Forest Moon Paranormal on Facebook. And again, we're an emergency response team. We handle all the worst of the worst when it comes to the paranormal with the astral team. It doesn't really matter where you're at. I get asked that too. Well, you guys aren't local, so how can you help me? Well, we have a remote team that comes in and handles it. We also have Francie, our licensed psychiatric therapist. And, of course, we have Markham, our scientist. We have Larry Anderson.
And as a scientist, let me put out a plug.
Yeah.
If y'all are on the fence about whether Forest Moon Paranormal's Astro Team is legit, PM me on Facebook. And, yeah, they are legit, because I was skeptical, too. And there comes a point when all doubt is removed. Y'all, they know what they're doing, and they are legit.
Well, when our team can call you and tell you exactly what the inside of your house looks like, which can't be found on Google, yeah, that takes your
by a blind guy.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd like to see.
That's what floored. That's what floored me is when you told me, him, you know he's blind, right? Except when he's on the astral, it's like, oh damn.
So I've also got to say, we're still looking for vendors. So if you want to be a vendor at Paracon, get a hold of us, and you can actually go on the Paracon website to fill out the application for vending. And that's again at www.fmparacon.com. And if you want your business advertised on S4, we have a global audience. And Cole can vouch for that. But Again, go on www.s-4radio.com and you will find our store there for one, where you can actually sit during the show and drink out of your S4 coffee mug. And we have our sponsors page where you can fill it out. You can look at your choice of various packages that we offer if you want your business or team advertised on S4. So,
and coffee does taste better in an S4 coffee cup. I'm here to tell you.
It does. It really does.
You sure that's not the bourbon?
No, I use it. No, I use it here at work, so there's no bourbon in it.
Well, I think we have S4 shot glasses on there as well. I'm not sure. I don't drink, so I don't worry about shot glasses.
Yeah, all Eric's worried about is the socks. Let's be truthful.
Exactly.
Just gonna leave that alone.
All right, so I want to thank our crew tonight: Colweg Leitner, FMP Culture and Lore Research Specialist and owner of Statement of Sound DJ; Chris and Brent Dodge, they were here earlier. They're from the FMP Extended Care and Astral team; Richard Giorniano from Goof on Radio; Eric Markham, our FMP scientist; and our Keith Andrews, our alien race specialist. So next week, again, we've changed up our topics. You know, we're going to change our fire and summer safety show to the following week. But, you know, next week is Memorial Day. And so many people get confused. They thank you for your service. They say Happy Memorial Day, whatnot. Memorial Day is not a happy day. It's a day where us as veterans and Americans in general basically remember those that gave the ultimate sacrifice. So next week I wanted to change up the topic and have a more Memorial Day show, and I want to have veterans from the team and from the paranormal field that I know, and from friends that I actually served with. And we're going to discuss Memorial Day from a veteran's point of view.
Can I say something quick, Eric?
Go right ahead.
I got to say, I think thank you for your service should still work to say that. For one reason. For one reason. We're not just thanking you for your service to your country, but these are days, this is a day of celebration of celebration of life for your brothers who also gave their service, who we can't thank.
And I get that. It just, there's a lot of people that are confused about, and they confuse Memorial Day and Veterans Day.
Yeah.
And I understand that. And I want to clarify that we do appreciate being thanked for our service. But me personally, I still have a hard time with it. It was just something I did. I enjoyed the military. And I don't know how to respond to that. That's just me. And that's not just me, but it's a lot of veterans. And it's not that we don't appreciate your words, your appreciation. It's awkward. Because a lot of us did it because, well, one, we were patriotic. Two, we wanted to, serve our country. And that's what we did.
Carrying on a family tradition.
Thank you for your service is likely one of the better options.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It beats being spit on and being called a baby killer like the Vietnam veterans were.
The Vietnam veterans got it worse. And some of them even got shot at by our own people. By Americans. And so a lot of...
Hanoi Jane.
Right. And a lot of people, they feel guilty for that, and that's why we get thanked for our service so often. And that's fine, again. But anyway, thank you again for listening to S4. Keep your eyes to the skies. And remember, it's you, our listeners, that give us a reason to produce S4. So stay safe out there, my friends, and we'll see you next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.